Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the thread, which is daily, the Daily Thread.
Yes, Monday through Thursday, right here on the...
Here we are. You know, some people come over and they say, that's a really big commitment.
Yes, it is. I agree with them. We can't debate that. It's a big commitment. You know, we're broadcasting, we're recording in Cedarhurst, New York, and depending on what time we record, it depends on where I park.
It also depends on what's going on in the world and what we talk about.
The big thing is where I park, you know, how far from the office I have to park. If I come later, it's more difficult to find parking space.
I think, can I out you a little bit and say that when we schedule for 9:30 a.m., you usually come in at 10?
No, it's not true. I came in, you said 9:30 today. I was here before 9:40.
9:43, exactly.
And especially it's Thursday. On Thursday, it's more difficult to find parking space because people are out shopping for Shabbos.
That's true.
So, you know, once you do this on a daily basis, you begin to develop, you begin to be able to read the rhythm of the community. And
oh, yeah?
when there's going to be spaces to park right in front of the building, like Monday and Tuesday, I could slide right into the front of the building, pop a couple of quarters into the meter, and I'm good for an hour.
And you probably still end up getting a ticket somehow.
No, I don't get tickets like some people.
Oh, like some people.
Yeah.
Anyways, the breaking news this morning coming out of the White House.
Yes, coming out of the White House.
Coming out of the White House is that Brittney Griner, the former WNBA star, who was imprisoned in Russia for having some marijuana on her.
Right.
I said Russia. I feel like I'm getting old.
Russia.
Who's imprisoned in Russia? How do you say Russia?
Russia.
Russia. Okay. Yeah. Who's imprisoned in Russia for having some marijuana on her? She was sentenced to what, like 7-8 years in prison?
She was sentenced to 9 years.
9 years.
And hard labor. She was in a penal colony somewhere out in Siberia, which is where you have friends, actually, which you were talking about yesterday. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. But there was a prisoner exchange.
There's a prisoner exchange for Brittney Griner. And why is this important? Why do we care? So, yeah. I mean, I'm very happy. It's very good that she's free. You know, I'm not saying she should have been there forever. She shouldn't have been in prison for 9 years for the crime she committed.
Right.
But first of all, here's my issue with it. President Biden tweeted this morning, moments ago, I spoke to Brittney Griner. She is safe. She's on a plane. She's on her way home. Sounds like a Dr. Seuss book. Like, first of all, relax, Joe. Yeah, that's A. B.
He didn't say that or write it. Somebody wrote it for him and he said it.
But my point is, he's making it sound like he killed bin Laden or something. Like, you brought home someone who, you know, committed a crime in a different country.
Right.
And Micah Parsons, who's a football player on the Dallas Cowboys, he took to Twitter and he said, wait a minute, isn't there a Marine that's been in Russia for 4 years that's imprisoned?
Right.
And there is, and he wasn't part of the swap. I think this is like part of the woke liberal agenda. Like, we worked so hard in making sure Brittney Griner is free, and we traded her for a convicted arms dealer from Russia who just got his job back now that he's out of prison. And it's great. Like, she didn't deserve to be in prison that long. But like, A, you have a Marine who is fighting for our country that's still stuck there in prison. Mm-hmm. And B, relax with the White House. Like, I saw Kamala Harris got dressed and up early this morning to take a picture. Like, good for her. She woke up early today.
Right.
Maybe she davened Vasikin with Doug. Right. But like, relax. You got someone out of prison in Russia who was there on a drug crime. Like, you didn't get a prisoner of war out.
They can't. At this White House.
Was I too harsh right there?
No.
I feel like I'm gonna get whatever.
No,
sorry, guys.
This White House, there's no limit to how much they want to pander to the left. This appeals to the left, and you could rest assured that if they worked as hard to get the Paul Whelan, who's a Marine being held for the last 4 years in a Russian prison, there wouldn't be this kind of excitement.
Right.
And you wouldn't see the kind of excitement you're going to see all day long on CNN and probably also on Fox and probably on ABC, NBC, and CBS and MSNBC.
Let me guess, they're gonna like show the video of Brittney Griner's plane landing in JK, like she's a patriot of our country, like
the space shuttle is returning from the first time.
Let me tell you something. Like, we don't care that much. She wasn't that good of a basketball player, anyways.
Well, listen, but on the other hand, Nachi, the country had an opportunity to send a message to this type of thought process in the recent election, and we didn't deliver the message. So
we sent the thought process to Russia that if they imprison some of our Americans for petty crimes, we're going to let out some of their criminals.
But you have to take a step back, and like I said a moment ago, the country sent a message to the world that this type of conduct, like releasing Brittney Griner for the Russian arms dealer and not including the Marine in the deal, is what the country wants.
Crazy.
We want to appease and appeal to the woke left. If we didn't want that, we would have had a bigger majority. We would have had a majority in the Senate, which we don't. It's now actually all the last 2 years of messing up, after the Afghanistan debacle, after the inflation debacle, after the stock market plunging, and the economy being in trouble, even though they claim it's as strong as ever, but they don't tell the truth too often. After all that, we put them in better shape in the Senate than we did beforehand. Last 2 years,
I think that's the Donald Trump effect, honestly. It's all a referendum on Donald Trump.
Well, that could be. And I was just thinking this morning about Ron DeSantis and his chances, And I was thinking, how would I characterize Ron DeSantis? And I came up with this following. Okay. I think Ron DeSantis is Donald Trump with a brain.
Ooh, I like that one. Donald Trump with a brain. Maybe we should title that the episode for today.
I hope no one in the Trump.
When I was on the way here this morning, I was listening to ESPN radio in my car, and they were discussing the WNBA because everyone's talking about the Brittney Griner story.
Have you ever watched the WNBA?
No, but here's the funny part. They were discussing on how to get people more interested in WNBA. And here's a tip about entertainment in general. If you need to convince people to be entertained by something that's supposed to be entertainment, it's not entertaining. The WNBA is not a profitable league. It's not an entertaining league. Why do we need to make it something like you should teach your kids, you should teach your daughters to watch the WNBA? Why? It's not an interesting watch.
Well, somebody's absorbing the losses. Who's paying for all that?
Probably the government. Honestly.
Some kind of I don't know what it is, but
it's just not. It's not interesting.
I don't find it even an iota of interesting.
But what's the agenda from all the whole media, especially in the ESPN world, of like, we need to make the WNBA part of the sport. Like, if you want to buy the video game nowadays, the NBA game, WNBA is included. Like, the league doesn't have more than a few thousand people in the stands. If I went over to someone in the street and said, if you can name me two WNBA players, I'll give you $500,000. They would not be able to name it for me. I'm not talking about the 5 towns. Right. I go to New York City and ask them, 2 WNBA players.
Well, now everyone knows 2 things. Everyone knows where Belarus is, right to the right of the Ukraine, and they know who Brittney Griner is. Yeah. So people are against their will. They're learning things.
Yeah, I wonder what she's going to do with her freedom, no?
Is she still playing? Is she not playing anymore?
I don't know.
Well, she'll probably have a ticker tape parade down in the Canyon of Heroes in Lower Manhattan. So we'll have to go to that next week to cover it for the Daily Thread.
Yeah, right.
I think you'll go. Okay, you'll be in Manhattan anyway, so you'll go to the ticker tape parade.
Yeah,
and we'll take it from there. But it just makes me sick. I think we discussed it enough already.
Yeah, let's delve into the mailbox. We have a message here that says as follows: Chassidim do have a Shidduch crisis is the title. Now, first of all, before I read this, I want to say I did not say that the Chassidim don't have Shidduch crisis. I was reading a letter from the mailbox that said that it doesn't. So that's A. There are many Chassidish girls who are insisting on only meeting boys who are still in yeshiva. Therefore, they are often being read to boys who are on the border of Chassidish/yeshivish. The result is a tragic amount of Chassidish boys who go to work at age 19, 20 or so having a very, very difficult time finding shidduchim, and their ages and numbers are steadily growing. In fact, I would say it's considered a bigger crisis because in those circles, someone above the age of 21 or 22 is considered old. Many enter the shidduch world by 18 there. And that's just another stigma added to the resume. I believe this is also affecting the amount of girls in the yeshivish world whose ages and numbers are growing. Somehow, that side of the shidduch crisis is more publicized. I myself, as well as others I know, have tried to read shidduchim of a more Chassidish working boy to a more yeshivish girl, but they are rarely interested since there are too many differences in minhagim, mentality, etc.
Okay, so I met with a man. His name is Sender Schwartz. I met with him, not the one you know. It's featured in this week's 5 Towns Jewish Times, as a matter of fact. He runs an organization in Israel called Bashert.
Interesting.
Okay, he's made his organization very quickly. If you read the article, you'll know what he does. But he employs shadchanim in Israel, and he pays them a monthly salary, $1,000 a month, to make shidduchim. And when they make a successful shidduch, they get a bonus. They get
1,000 USD?
Yeah, they get 1,000 USD.
Okay.
And plus, when they make a shidduch successfully, they negotiate with the families an additional payment of between $1,500 and $2,000.
You remember I had that idea years ago. It just was impossible.
What, meaningful matches, you mean?
Yeah, meaningful matches.
Anyway, this guy was in my office.
Lived for like 2 months.
This guy was in my office on Monday. He has 2 thick, like, telephone books, lists of boys and girls. And to respond to that letter, he showed me that he has a Chassidish book and a Yeshivish book.
It's different.
Okay, no, listen to this. The Chassidish book, it's just 20% girls, but 80% boys that are available. So there's much more boys available because the girls, like this person said, a Shidduch is read. Very often it's decided amongst the families that the boy and the girl are going to get married, and then the boy and girl meet after they decide that it's going to. Then that doesn't always work out 100%, but after the families decide that it's a good Shidduch, they meet, and if there's no objections, then they get married. In the Yeshivisha, he says to me, or in the Litvisha world, it's exactly the opposite. 20% boys available, 80% girls available, okay? They don't have the kind of intense social pressure to get engaged or married by 18, 19,
Who
20.
doesn't? The Yeshivish world.
The Yeshivisha girls.
Right, okay.
Okay, so this rolls in, potentially, into a Shidduch crisis that you're talking about. So you have less boys, and you have more girls looking for shidduchim. So there's this imbalance, and that's what he's working on. He's working on making matches, and he's focusing on usually 25, 26 and over.
Good for him. It's a really nice. It's a nice initiative.
He's trying. He started to function. He started the organization. Now he's working in Lakewood.
Amazing.
He made about a half a dozen shidduchim. He said in Lakewood. And he's here in the 5 towns. I don't know if he's trying to make shidduchim or he's just trying to collect money.
Maybe he's just trying to get a good bite in upper crust or something.
I think he was here. He was here. I think he'll be here today. I think.
Incredible.
He doesn't speak any English, so.
We have a knack of surrounding ourselves with people who don't speak a word of English. We have a cousin that we spent the Shabbos with a few times from Eretz Yisrael. He lives in Ashdod.
He lives in Ashdod, yes.
And he doesn't speak a word of English.
Well,
I was sitting in the backyard with him.
Yeah, you were talking to him.
I was trying to.
Did you understand what he was saying at all?
More of a chance of me speaking sign language than Hebrew, honestly.
Okay, well, his name is Effie Grindiger. He lives in Ashdod. He's your first cousin.
He's in real estate.
And he's a very much in demand attorney in Eretz Yisrael with a lot of clients here in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah, we were sitting in the backyard talking, and all my siblings were just at the window laughing because they knew that
What is Naki talking to Effie about?
Like, how are they communicating?
He hardly understands a word of English. You don't understand the word of Hebrew.
I think we were having 2 different conversations, honestly. I was saying something, then he was saying something, and he was saying how it's so beautiful outside, and I'm saying, yeah, the stock market is terrible these days.
Well, that's maybe you should. I know he's trying to
learn English,
learn a little bit more English because he does a lot of work in the United States.
Yeah.
And it would help him a lot. You, on the other hand, you should brush up on some languages. You're a young guy, and you should be able to, learn. Listen to they have the courses you can take.
Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, something like that.
Or Duolingo, something like that.
At least you could talk. At least learn how to speak Spanish. At least if you can.
At least, you know what?
That's Hebrew or Yiddish.
So I saw this tweet yesterday from ALX. Breaking. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, is under investigation by the House of Ethics Committee. Typically, when that office forwards an investigation, it's because it has reason to believe an ethics law was broken. What's an ethics law?
It's I don't know. It's not a nice thing. As they say in Yiddish, it's nit shane. It's not nice. It's not going anywhere. Don't worry about it. You know what that's good for? That's good for 3 minutes of news for less than 1 day.
I was getting feisty.
And then it's gone. It's not important. It's not interesting. The pattern of the news, if you want to discuss, the pattern of the news is if there's somebody that's really down and out, to bring them up. And if somebody really high on the hog, as the saying goes, bring them down into the mud. That's what news is. You know what they say? You know what a news story is? A good news story is when a man bites a dog. Can you imagine that?
A man bites a dog.
Yeah, if a dog bites a man, it's not news. That happens every single day.
Right.
If a man bites a dog, that's news.
Yeah.
So that's what these stories. How these stories are built on. They're built on fluff, on nothing.
By the way, it's so interesting because yesterday a lot of people were very intrigued and interested by what you said about Babe Ruth and Herbert Hoover.
Yeah, not the guy from the vacuum cleaners.
No, who's that?
That's the Hoover vacuum cleaners.
Honestly, he might have been making more money than the president. Also,
I don't know when he lived, but what about Herbert Hoover?
The fact that Babe Ruth was making more money than him.
Well, he had a better year. Listen, guy has a better year. I think what's his name? It's arguable whether what's his name.
And listen, what did people say about the college draft? People didn't think it was a good idea. I think people said that it should be done on their potential.
You know what? But you really can't draw a parallel between Herbert Hoover and Babe Ruth and, like, for example, Aaron Judge and Joe Biden. Aaron Judge is only making $360 million over the next 9 years. The Bidens are taking in billions.
Very good. The Wall Street Journal puts out a message this morning. Google plans to combine its Waze and Maps teams as the search engine giant faces pressure to streamline operations and cut costs. I didn't know that Maps owns Waze.
Huh? Who?
Did I just speak Yiddish to you?
No, who's that?
Maps. Google Maps owns Waze?
No. Waze is an Israeli company.
Yeah, but then
it was sold. It was sold to Google.
Yeah, it was sold to
years
Google.
ago.
They've been using two separate maps until today.
Oh yeah,
they're merging now.
Really?
Why?
They're merging now to cut costs. There's no reason for them to use two different maps.
I find Google Maps is very, very confusing.
I love Waze.
I love Waze too, but why would you go on Google Maps? You want to go, let's say you want to go to the Rockley Country Club to a wedding in Rockley, New Jersey. They give you
nice wedding.
How long does it take to get there? 4 days and 3 hours, because they give you the walking time. Now, why would I want to walk to Rockley, New Jersey to a wedding that's tonight when I'm going to get there Sunday?
Listen, you never know. People these days, you never know. I found reading a tweet based on a previous story we had mentioned early on. Dovi Safir took to Twitter to say, in response to the ESPN tweet of Russia freeing WNBA player Brittney Griner, Dovi Safir took to Twitter and said, in exchange for Brittney Griner, Russia is getting a convicted arms dealer and 2 unprotected first-round draft picks from the New York Knicks. Because no matter what's going on, the Knicks are going to give up their draft picks.
I'm very busy on my phone, as you know, but I'm not on Twitter. So should I go on Twitter? Can you be busy? I mean, when do you find...
I think Ema's on Twitter, no?
Not really.
I think she is.
She is, but she doesn't really
Should I go to
participate.
Ema's Twitter and read her tweets?
No, but I don't know if you'll be able to find it. But how do you have time for anything else if you're on Twitter?
You know what? That's kind of my news source. Like I don't watch the news like you.
What kind of news you get? You don't get real.
You're getting
news.
the news as it happens. You're getting all the news.
You get. He's looking at me like you're looking at some kind of a cage in a zoo and a gorilla behind the cage.
What?
Well, he's looking at me crazy over there. Well, that's not the real news. That's news that with people slant.
No. Everyone gets the real news from Twitter, honestly.
They go to Twitter first before they go to any.
Yes, everything breaks on Twitter right away.
So I have to download the app, right?
You don't have it yet?
I must have had it. I have a new phone, so I don't have it anymore. I don't think I downloaded it again.
Hey,
I don't know. What do you sit there all day long just watching what's going on Twitter?
It happens in real time. You get to see, like, Brittney Griner right now is on a plane. She's sitting in her seat. Anyways, a city council bill would limit movie shoots in certain New York City neighborhoods to just 10 days per month due to complaints from residents that film industry disrupt their lives and take away parking spots. You know what? Speaking of parking spots, someone had an idea about Central Avenue. And if you don't live in the Five Towns, then I'm sorry, maybe this is not applicable to you, but I think every area has parking issues. His name was AC Plotchik. He came over to me in shul. He had this idea for parking on Central Avenue. He said, you know what? My idea for parking on Central Avenue, take away the parking on the street. Make 2 lanes going each way. Build double-decker parking lots in Gourmet Lots parking lot, build it behind Emporio's parking lot, and there should be 2 big parking hubs where people can park. And this way, most of the traffic on Central Avenue happens when people are pulling into spots, pulling out of spots. It could take 25 minutes for me to get to the office sometimes because of the traffic on Central. Yeah. Mainly because people don't know how to park. To get into the parking lot?
It's not a good idea.
Why? They have this in Florida. They have it in Bell Harbor. They have it in Lincoln Road. But, like, 2 lanes on each side, and also cut into some of the sidewalk, build cones, and we don't need so much sidewalk space.
You know that 10 years ago, I went to a news conference in the Costco parking lot with Senator Chuck Schumer was there. Phil Goldfeder was.
The Shomer Yisrael, you mean?
Yeah, Phil Goldfeder was in the assembly then.
Yeah.
Okay, there were a few other local politicians.
Good old Phil.
And they were introducing the idea they were going to build a second level highway going from where Brookville Boulevard is now,
The Atlantic Beach.
That's going to go all the way up. Because if you don't have to go to the Five Towns, if you don't have to go to Far Rockaway, you're going to the beach, you're going to Atlantic Beach. You can take the upper roadway, and you could skip the whole traffic jam around the shopping center and around 878. Yeah, that's 10 years ago. The law's on the books. I think the money was allocated for
No
it.
way.
Nothing's been done.
Where's the money?
The money is, where's the money that was unaccounted for?
Holy schnitzel, where's the money?
The $2 trillion, what did you say was missing yesterday? $2 trillion where?
FTX?
I
No,
don't know.
Ukraine?
Ukraine was a trillion? No, it was billion. 20
U.S.
billion.
Department of
$20 billion.
Finance?
20 billion Ukraine unaccounted for.
I also just want them to stop writing tickets for people who own businesses on Central Avenue and park here.
Well, I had this conversation with the local government in Cedarhurst a few times.
I'm using this podcast to fight my own battles.
They read the.
Stop writing me tickets.
Well, first of all, why don't you get a permit for the parking lots?
Good idea.
Come on.
But can I ask you a question? They sell permits to the parking lot, but is there always a parking spot?
No, as a matter of fact.
So imagine buying tickets to a concert and there not being a seat.
Well, I have permits for the parking lot, even though I'm not in the parking lot today because it's not that close to the office. I mean, it's close, but not very close.
Not close enough for your liking.
Not the front of the building. Anyway, but it used to flood. The parking lot used to get flooded when it rained.
Oh, really?
And all the permit spaces were covered in water. And one time I couldn't get into my car at a permit spot. I got my pants soaked up to my knees. I had to go to a meeting. I had to go home and change my pants before I can get to the meeting. And I spoke to the mayor.
You should wear boots.
And they give you tickets all the time. Like, the law is, apparently, there's a lot of broken meters on Central Avenue. These are new meters. A lot of them don't take the money, and you can pay with these meters with a credit card. A lot of them don't take the credit card either. So the procedure is, if you have a broken meter, you're supposed to call the court, Cedarhurst Court. Then I know the number by heart. I called them up. I said, listen, meter number 252 on Columbia Avenue is not working. So the woman says to me, well, you're not allowed to park there if it's broken. I said, what does it say you're not allowed to park there? It doesn't say that on the meter. You're not allowed to park if it's broken. Well, if you're not, what do you want me to do? I'll cancel my meeting and I'll look for a meter that's working. Is that what you want me to do for the rest of the day? She says, well, you know what she says? If you get a ticket, call me back.
I know. They probably make a killing off of these tickets, though, and the meters. Well, good for them. Anyway, speaking of traffic and stuff, Meaningful Minute is launching this really cool new project, the Tehillim Project.
Yeah, I like it. I heard about it yesterday for the first time.
150 chapters of Tehillim, the entire Tehillim.
It's all done?
All done.
Wow.
It is really, really awesome. It sounds awesome. This really ambient. Is that like a drug? Ambient. It's like an ambiance.
He has a certain panache.
Ambiance.
He has a panache. He has a style, a nice cadence.
Yeah, it has a nice cadence.
Easy to follow.
Easy to follow, and you can repeat after the words that are being said. And if you're worried about the speed, you can speed it up, you can slow it down, you can go at your own pace.
How do you speed it up and slow it down?
It's going to be on Apple, on Spotify. It's going to be on the Meaningful Minute app. You can go 2 times, 3 times, 3.5 times, whatever you want.
So let me translate what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Why, am I not speaking English?
You're not making it clear. You're driving in your car. You're in traffic. You're on whatever name of that street is, 878.
Yeah.
And you're stuck there.
Or you're in Los Angeles.
Belt Parkway. Or you're trying to drive down Collins Avenue during the boat show. Yeah. When you can't budge. And you put Tehillim on,
and you're like, "Hey, listen,
you could actually enjoy every word,
and you could finish Tehillim,
and you could repeat. You could repeat it after the person saying the Tehillim.
And just from your commute to work on a daily basis, you can finish the Sefer Tehillim weekly, like 2 times a month, maybe.
If traffic is bad enough, you can finish Tehillim every day.
Oh man, I hope it's not that bad.
If you drive into the city. If you're going to a Rockley Country Club,
you can finish. If you have a wedding in Lakewood, you can finish Tehillim. But like, imagine you're driving, you get an alert like so and so needs a discuss for Refu Shlema, daven. You're driving. What are you gonna do? So that's what this is an idea that came and said, hey, listen, like you just put it on and daven. Anyways, you can own a parak. You can sponsor a parak of this Tehillim. There's really not that many available, but you can
all sold out already.
Almost. There's like maybe 50 left. You can hit the link in the description in the show notes over here. You could message us on the Daily Thread phone to sponsor a parak.
What does it cost to sponsor?
It's $360, and you go own that parak
for the whole parak.
For the whole parak,
it's not expensive.
You want one?
That's not expensive. $360. You sure for the whole parak?
There's 150 parakim. Yeah.
Kapitelach.
No, they're called parakim. Do you want one?
No, a parak is a parak and a what?
A parak is a kapitel.
A parak is a kapitel.
Do you want one?
Sure, I'll take 2.
Oh.
Okay.
Let's write them down for 2.
Sign me up.
Which ones do you want?
Can I get it to go?
You want French fries with that?
Ketchup and mustard also.
That's another thing, by the way. You know how many times I order food from restaurants and I end up leaving and it's missing parts of my order? And it's just like, Okay, fine.
No, I'll tell you something.
You
else.
didn't include the drink. Here's a $4.50 donate.
I'll tell you something else about that. When you go to a restaurant and you sit down at a table and you order, you get this big dish which you don't know how you're going to eat. It's so
I don't
much
know.
food.
I don't know if.
But when you order the same exact thing on Uber Eats, it comes to your house. You need a magnifying glass to see the food.
I know because
there's nothing there. Because you know what? You're home and they're in the restaurant, and what's the Uber driver's fault? He orders you a microscopic proportion of what the real dish is supposed to look like.
I think honestly, I sometimes order on Uber Eats and I'll get it and it's always missing one item. It's missing a drink. It's missing this. I think the restaurants
What can you do about that? You call the restaurant, you complain. They don't know anything about it.
Nah, I'm not gonna I'm gonna cancel a whole order because I forgot my drink. I'm gonna go through the trouble of talking to the Uber people in California.
No, you can't. So you get a drink tomorrow.
I know, but I'm wasting $3-4 every single time.
I once ordered from a local restaurant here, and Uber driver mixed up the order, and I got tray Chinese food delivered to my house. Try to give it away.
Your grandson, my nephew, he was babysitting for me once, and he ordered Chinese food I was in the city, and he ordered kosher Chinese food.
Assuming, yes.
And he calls me, he said, "It's not here." I'm like, where? He's like, I think they dropped it off at the wrong place. They sent me a picture of where they dropped it off, and it's not in this place. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I think it's around the corner. I went on Google Maps. I looked at the house. I said, yeah, it looks like it's at this house. He walks around the corner, and he calls me. He's like, the food's not on their porch. I'm like, they might be eating it right now. I'm like, go knock on the door. He's like, how do I know they're Jewish? I'm like, I don't know. He's I see him as a. He knocks on their door, and I hear him on the phone the whole time. He goes, hi, I think my Chinese was delivered here. They're like, yeah, we were wondering what this is from. And
did they eat it, or they gave it to him?
No, they gave it to him. He ate it. But yeah, that's our episode for today.
Okay, we want to finish by talking about this week's parsha for a second. Okay, but this week's parsha is Vayishlach, right? So this is real. This week, there's been a lot of drama in the Torah up until this point, but Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim, that's where the real drama begins. That's going to take us through the next few months, through the slavery in Mitzrayim, and then through Yetzias Mitzrayim, and in the Midbar, and so on and so forth. The building of the Mishkan. There's a lot up the road, but very simple, very quickly. V'yishlach Yaakov Malachim. Yaakov was about to encounter Esav, his brother, who Esav felt that he stole the birthright from him. And Esav wanted to kill Yaakov. Okay. He wanted to murder him now that Yitzchak Avinu had passed away. So anyway, very simple. It says in the beginning of the Parsha, V'yishlach Yaakov Malachim. What does Rashi say? Who did he send? Who did Yaakov send to encounter Esav? Because the angels that accompany Yaakov were like his security team, like his secret service, like his FBI. And Rashi says two words: Malachim Mamish. What does that mean? Rashi doesn't come to tell you something superfluous. It's telling you something, trying to teach you a lesson of what it is. What is mamish? So the Maggid of Mezerich says that there are many pshatim about it, but the Maggid of Mezerich says that what does it mean malachim mamish? It means Yaakov Avinu sent the physical aspect of the malachim to encounter Esav. The spiritual aspect of the malachim stayed with Yaakov, but the embodiment, the way they appeared in the earthly corporal fashion, was what he sent to Esav. So actually, it's kind of like he split them in a way, or you could actually divide them. But that's what he sent to encounter Esav. So Esav was able to see the physical aspect of the malachim, which was a way to show him that Yaakov means business. He's strong. He has protection. He's going to protect himself. And the essence, and the Maggid says that you learn from this that that's how you're supposed to run your life in general. You have when you approach a project or your work or your daily life in this world, you have the physical part of you which is involved in it, but the spiritual aspect has to always be the thing that dictates the way you're going to conduct yourself and the outlook that you're going to have. I think that is basically the explanation of Vayishlach of what Malachim Mamish means. It means the Mamish. It means
Mamash.
The Mamish of the Malachim, the part that you could see and hear.
Beautiful. Well, that's our episode for today. Big shout out to our friends at Cheaper Team. They're getting involved in taking care of us in this Tehillim project and helping us sponsor these parakim. And maybe you should too as well. If you want to know more about Cheaper Team, open this week's edition of 5TJT, the newspaper, and page 11. You'll see more about Cheaper Team. That's our episode for today. If you want to sign up for the Daily Thread WhatsApp status, go ahead and hit the link in the description, the show notes. We'd love to see you sign up. We have exclusive content, clips, bonus footage, and so much more over there. If you'd like to advertise on one of these episodes, you can reach out to us on that WhatsApp account as well, or email us at thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org. We will see you again next week. I'm looking forward to having the next few days off this weekend.
Yes.
Baruch Hashem.
Have a
And
great
we will
Shabbos,
see you
everybody.
again Monday. Adios, amigos.
Good Shabbos.